Hey guys, Lord here, back again with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Marvel Legends Spider-Man the Animated Series Mary Jane and Green Goblin 2-pack. Again, this is not a versus 2-pack because we all know who'd win this fight. Of course, I mean Mary Jane. So, we're just going to cut right to the chase because not a whole lot to talk about here other than the fact that Mary Jane is 100% brand new, unique parts. At least I think she is. I don't recognize anything on her anyways, so cutting it right to the chase. Getting into the mean taters, as you will. Mary Jane does come with a pair of fist hands, so she could totally win the fight against Green Goblin just by punching him right in the face. Domestic violence, always a good thing. And then as far as the Green Goblin goes, he comes with an alternate, is it Harry Osborn head? Norman Osborn head? I don't know, I think they've both been the Green Goblin at one point. And of course, you can't have a Green Goblin without a good old pumpkin bomb, which of course doesn't fit in his hand. I mean, it does, but it falls out. And then you get the glider, which this is not like the Hobgoblin, where they just took the 616 glider and repainted it, like totally half-arsedly. They actually gave you a brand new sculpt, and if I can find my Steve Ditko glider, there it is. You can see that the face on the front is completely different to match the animated series. Who'd have thought? A little bit of time and effort go a long ways. That said, it looks like it is the same sculpt otherwise. Right down to the big old ball joint port on the bottom for the Hasbro flight stand, which doesn't work. You can pop it in there, I guess, if you want. You can have it articulate and stuff, but it's not the tightest thing, especially with the figure on there, so word to the wise, be careful when you use these, because they could take a spill. That said, you don't get the stand, and the stands are kind of hard to come by. I know the Hawkeye with the Sky Sled comes with those, and those are going on clearance at Targets recently. But other than that, I got that stand with a Star Wars The Black Series speeder bike with Biker Scout. Like, a long time ago. I think I was still in high school. So, well over almost a decade ago. So, you know, it would be nice if they gave you a pack of these or something, because we've got 2 gliders and no stands. So, that kind of stinks. That said, since Mary Jane is what is new here, we're going to move her to the side. Talk about the Green Goblin first. Good old GG. G squared. I will tell you, mine's arm is a little janky. It doesn't plug on all the way. It looks okay. I got it on there a little bit more than it was, but there is a gap between the shoulder and the bicep where they meet, or are supposed to meet. You can see on this side that gap is non-existent. So there's something in the arm here that's blocking it from going in all the way. So I'll have to have my dad modify that when he has time, of course. Other than that, this is probably one of my favorite Green Goblins I own. Now, the Toy Biz Green Goblin from the Onslaught Wave, that's probably the best one that's ever been made. The proportions and anatomy of that figure are great. It's got the chainmail sculpted onto it. It's the darker green like this guy. And all around, just a really good figure. The only thing that kind of sucked with him was the glider was weird. It was like sloped on the side, like the wings were pointed down on it for some reason. And he rode it more like a motorcycle. This one, it's the Bucky Cat body, but I think it works for Green Goblin. I will say the neon mine's a little floppy here, so hopefully over time that'll straighten itself out. Other than that, though, I really like this figure. He's got the purse, the man purse, the merce, the handbag. That comes packaged separately, but I threw it on him because it's a part of him. He doesn't leave home without it. He's got to put his pumpkin bombs, his razor bats, and his lip balm in there. And his eyeliner, I'm sure. So, you know, got to have your trusty man bag. That said, as far as articulation on this figure goes, his head looks up and down. New head sculpt, by the way. Really like that head sculpt. Really thick hat on this version of Green Goblin. I didn't notice that before. But he does look up and down really well. No lollipop on this figure, but he does rotate side to side. A little bit of tilt. You don't need a lollipop to get it, fellas. I don't know why you keep pushing that. Shoulders go out to the side. They do have a bicep swivel. They do go down. They rotate all the way around. He's got a double elbow. It works just fine. Hindered by the glove, but that's to be expected. If you just bend the glove, you can get a little bit more than 90 out of it, I guess. He does have hinge swivel wrists, which, by the way, his hands do pull out. It would have been nice if we got some fist hands, because we've never gotten fist hands for a Green Goblin figure. And I think this would have been a good time to do it, especially since this costs like 60 bucks. So, you know, while I don't think there's a whole lot wrong with this 2-pack, could have got a little bit more for the money, but it is what it is. It's got an ab crunch that works pretty well. Crunches forward, crunches back, it's fine. Waist twist works fine. He's got T-jointed hips. He can do the splits. No drop down, so that's good. Kick back down, you can kick forward and back. He's got a thigh cut, double knee. That works pretty good. He's got calf cut, hinge in the foot with a rocker, and peg holes at the bottom of the feet, which you're going to need if yours has a floppy knee like mine. Kind of thinking I should have maybe tried to get another 2-pack, but my Mary Jane is fine, so I guess if anything, just try and fix it. So it is what it is, unfortunately, but he's going to be on the glider most of the time anyways, I guess, so no big deal. Possibly even posed, so hopefully that'll straighten itself out, but there you go. One thing to note, too, like the retro-carded Steve Ditko inspired one Hasbro did, he's got a little collar piece here. It's a separate piece, it's not glued on. I might have my dad glue those on just so they stay, but very interesting. The first Green Goblin Hasbro did from the Sandman Bath Wave, not Willem Dafoe, but the comic inspired one, he didn't have one of those. So, very interesting that we get that here and on the retro card one, but not that other one. That said, this is the star of the show. This Mary Jane in the yellow sweater with the cowboy boots. This is what Mary Jane looks like to me. I never did get the Mary Jane Spider-Man 2-pack that was at Toys R Us. A lone tier for Toys R Us, by the way. I love that store. I miss it too. Mine was a good one. I know not all of them were good, but mine was. I miss it dearly. And I also didn't get the retro-carded Gwen Stacy that came with the Romita Senior style Mary Jane head, which I almost think is the same sculpt as this, with different paint on it. I don't know. I'd have to look. I guess that head's also in the Spider-Man Spinneret Renew Your Vows 2-pack, but I also don't have that. So this is literally my only Mary Jane figure. And other than Kirsten Dunst, I really don't need a whole lot more Mary Jane figures, because I love me some Tobey Maguire Spider-Man era stuff, but 90s Spider-Man is my jam, and this is what Mary Jane looks like to me, other than, you know, maybe the black sleeveless t-shirt there. This is my mind's eye view of this character, and I'm so glad that this figure came out as good as it did. This is easily one of the best figures in this line, and possibly one of the best Legends I've gotten all year, even though she doesn't have a whole lot going on, and some open hands. I'd like to give her a handbag, maybe, a purse of some kind. Maybe she could have come with a newspaper, because in the intro, if you remember that iconic shot, she pulls the newspaper down, like smirks at the camera. Would have been nice if she had some grip hands and a newspaper, maybe. I don't know, I'm picking at straws for accessories, because there's not a whole lot you can give Mary Jane here. She's just a civilian character. That said, her head is on, I think, a double ball peg. I don't know, I can't tell. It's either on a loop. Let me pop it off. Yeah, it's a double ball peg. It doesn't get a whole lot of traction, so that kind of sucks, but she does have the long hair anyway, so I don't know how much she would have got with that. She does rotate, does have a little bit of tilt. Shoulders go out, more than 90. Holy cow. Back down. All the way around. She's got a hinge in the elbow with rotation. She's got a swivel in the wrist with a hinge. And if you're wondering, the wrists on her, a little tough to pull out. And full disclaimer, her fist hands may have been the ones that came with Aunt May, because I think they use the same mold here, but I think those are the ones that came with her. That said, if they're the same, then it doesn't really matter, does it? Diaphragm goes that far forward, that far back, tilts side to side, and rotates. Nice little clicker in there, too. This is a separate piece, so they could have given her a waist twist, I guess. I will say, as far as anatomy goes, I think her head might be a little high. But it's been a while since I watched the show. I know everyone in this show was built like a brick house. And the females included. They were pretty broad-shouldered for being a lady. So I feel like she could have maybe had a little less room between the chin and the shoulder here. But, you know, she also needs a neck. So maybe I'm wrong there. But I feel like she was a bit bulkier in the show. That said, from the waist down, I think she's good. She's got a nice, tightly clenched buttocks there. She can kick forward about that far. Back, not much at all, hindered by her buttocks. Hinging that out. She can almost do a split. Gets better range than Spider-Man with a drop down. Thigh cut goes all the way around. A little bit gummy on that, but not terrible. Pretty solid. Double knee. That works pretty well. It's pinless too, by the way. She's got a boot cut. Not too gummy down there. And then she does have a hinge in the ankle with a rocker. Unlike Aunt May, her ankles move pretty freely, and she doesn't have the tightest of calf cuts either. So nothing to worry about as far as breakage goes. You know, just be careful with the elbows maybe. So they're relatively thin. She also, I think, has peg holes at the bottom of the feet. At least one. There you go. That's your lot for you. So, you know, while I think this 2-pack is a little bit overpriced for what you're getting, it doesn't feel like a blatant ripoff. I think there's enough here to warrant someone justifying this purchase, especially if you need a Green Goblin for your Legends shelf. If you don't get one like mine, then I think he's probably one of the better ones, even though he doesn't have the chainmail, which is something I like the Green Goblin to have. But it's not a necessity. And in the cartoon, I guess he didn't have it. It's been a while since I watched the cartoon, so I can't remember offhand. But I'm just going to assume that, like the Hobgoblin retro card, which no, I will not be comparing these two superior figures to that piece of garbage. I did not buy it. I would like to have it, yes, but it is still hot garbage. Hot, gummy garbage. That's not accurate to the source material. That said, what was I talking about? If you need a Green Goblin, this is a good one. If you need a Mary Jane, and this is your mind's eye view of Mary Jane, then this is a definite no-brainer. So, with that all being said, however, let's now move on and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is both Mary Jane and the Green Goblin alongside, well, the Green Goblin's classic comic book counterpart anyways, complete with cracked out face. Yeah, I know some people thought the face sculpt on that was a little iffy, and the eyes in particular looked like he was on something, right? That said, I love this Ditko-inspired Goblin, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's supposed to be crazy, goofy, zany, and wacky. It was the 60s, man. That said, we also have the only other civilian character we've taken a look at from the Spider-Man animated series line. Good old Aunt May, off to the far left there. Moving her out of the way. Let's bring in the standard. Is this the standard one? I believe so. Yes. Standard animated Spider-Man to see how he stacks up alongside his beloved. And I don't think the scale's too bad between those two. I think it's alright, personally. I think Spider-Man should be a little bigger, but Mary Jane is wearing cowboy boots, so that is reasonable there. And for Green Goblin, let's bring in probably the best villain we got in this line so far. So far, maybe in general, if we don't count that amazing retro-carded PulseCon exclusive animated series style Venom, Dr. Octopus. And yeah, if you got all these Spider-Man animated villains lined up, you're going to have one sick display, if I do say so myself. So, moving these two out of the way. We, of course, now have our two regulars. The Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibulus, who, of course, is freaking huge compared to these two. And, of course, MK, 11 Spawn, who's not as off-camera as he has been. So there's that, I guess. So, with that being said, time to wrap things up. Some final thoughts. Overall, and aside from the minor quality control issue I have with my Green Goblin's left bicep, and the fact that he doesn't come with any fist hands, there's really not a whole lot to say bad about this 2-pack other than the fact that it's overpriced. There's no other way to spin it, it's overpriced. Yeah, Green Goblin could have been pinless, but at the same time, the only 2-pack that is 100% pinless is the last one, which we will be taking a look at tomorrow. And then I guess they could have also thrown in the stand for the glider, but you know they weren't going to do that. It wouldn't have fit in the box, at least not the way they packaged it. So, if you're going to buy this 2-pack, it boils down to two things. Do you need a Green Goblin for your Legends collection? And how much do you like this design for Mary Jane? For me, it's my mind's eye view of the character, so I like the fact that this is the Mary Jane in my Marvel Legends collection, but I know some people like the Ramita Sr. version of Mary Jane, which I like that one too, but I missed out on the Toys R Us 2-pack version of the character and the alternate head that came with the Gwen Stacy retro-carded version. As far as Green Goblin's concerned, probably in the running for my favorite Green Goblin in the Legends line from Hasbro anyways. I think the Toy Biz Onslaught Build-A-Figure Wave Green Goblin is still, for what it is, the best Green Goblin we've ever had in this line, period, from any company. But I do also really like the Steve Ditko-inspired retro card Green Goblin from a few years ago, which goes for a pretty penny nowadays, I must say. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later.